Hello, everyone, to this product school webinar on building successful fintech products. I am Aanchal Arora. I have been a product manager for a few years now. Until very recently, I worked as a PM at Uber to build and ship the first of its kind regulatory ride-sharing platform. Think of this portal as a front door to provide financial and business data for Uber rides, Eats, and so on to the city authorities. And the data could be anything from, active licensed drivers in the city of San Francisco, or weekly trips in California, or congestion patterns in New York, and so on. Before Uber, I actually worked at BlackRock. BlackRock is the largest asset management firm. I worked quite heavily in the investment management space, managing many products related to trading, data analytics, and launched them for many financial clients. And I love being a PM. Since as a PM, I get to experience the success of my product and feature launches firsthand. Okay, so anyhow, let's get started. So why are we here today? First order of business, let's define our agenda and what will we be going through in today's session. So we'll go through what do you mean by fintech. We'll delve into some examples of different fintech products and industries. Then we'll discuss future of fintech. And lastly, I will share with you 8 key tips which have helped me personally so far in my career while working on many fintech products. So let's begin. Okay, so what is really fintech? It is really finance plus technology, as the name suggests. In layman terms, any company that provides financial services through the usage of software or hardware or any digital technology is really a fintech company. Fintech products normally improve or create new ways for banking, payments, money transfers, money management, and so on. Fintech is not synonymous with a bank. It's a big no-no. Not all companies which want to become fintechs do that because they want to become a bank. So think of fintech as an industry encompassing any technology in financial services, from banks to businesses to merchants. So, for instance, you can think of many consumer companies out there that provide some kind of financial services like payments in-house or payout to drivers or manage maintenance of merchants or drivers' bank accounts. That doesn't make them a bank. So, however, actually, you will see that every company that needs to become fintech in some way or another to facilitate that support of exchange of goods or services. I came across this keynote by Angela Strong. It is actually linked here. I thought it was very interesting, where she basically convinces audience that nearly every company will, derive its significant portion of its revenue from financial services in the very near future. And every consumer will have access to affordable financial services. She talks about this Amazon Web Services era for financial services, which I thought was very interesting. So do check it out. Okay, so moving on to the golden rule of fintech, which is transaction. So now a transaction is an agreement between a buyer and a seller to exchange goods, services, or financial instruments. We all make these transactions multiple times a day, like, buying a coffee or ordering takeout or even booking an Uber ride. So all other concepts of fintech and transactions basically evolved from this rule of transaction. So for example, person A gives person B some money for a good, service, or product. In this scenario, person A is the buyer, person B is the seller. So person B will charge person A's credit card. This is called as payment processing, which basically involves moving money from person A's account to person B. Person B will also generate a receipt or an acknowledgement that, a proof that this exchange has happened. This is called as billing. At the end of, let's say, each month or even frequently, person A goes through his credit card history to check the records and transactions to kind of see like what he has bought and to file any disputes in case of error. This is actually called as reconciliation in financial terms. So as you can see, we literally covered three key financial processes by that same transaction example, payments, invoicing, and reconciliation. So I think you guys got the point here on at least how important transaction is and, how important it relates to fintech. Okay, so moving on to types of fintech products. Now, there are many domains under which fintech products fall. I have tried to jot down some of the major ones, which I, thought we could go through, and at least the major ones. So, for example, the first one is the money movement. So I'm thinking about companies like Stripe, PayPal, Square, Venmo, and even money transfer, international money transfer like TransferWise or Western Union. Then I have here consumer banking. So I'm sure all of you have a bank account. So I'm talking about Chase or Citibank or Bank of America or Wells Fargo. Then you have here lending. So lending could be your traditional credit cards, but I'm also thinking about, Lending Tree or Sophie or Better.com. So I'm thinking of like home loans or auto loans also here. Fourth one, we have investing. So there are traditional ones like Vanguards and Fidelities of the world, which help you manage your 401ks. But then there are also more millennial-friendly stock trading apps like Robinhood. And then you also have online robo-advising products like Betterment or Wealthfront. So I think they all fall under the same investing umbrella. Okay, so next we have financial planning. So I'm thinking of here, your budgeting tools like Mint or Personal Capital. I don't know how many of you know of Personal Capital. It's one of my favorite products these days. It gives you that, your net worth and connects your, different bank accounts, even international ones. So I thought it was very interesting. Okay, then you have consumer companies. I think I went through this in the last slide too. Basically, I'm thinking of many consumer companies out there that are trying to get into financial products, like Facebook through Pay or Libra or Uber or Amazon Payments. And then the last one I have here for you is crypto. Now, crypto is probably the most youngest and the most underestimated products out there, I would say. There are already many peer-to-peer exchange platforms like Coinbase, even wallets. But I think this is only the beginning of crypto, and we all know more and more banks are considering and in fact already using blockchain in their infrastructure to sort of like boost security. So I think, at least these are the major ones I have here, but obviously there can be like many more categories and many more subdomains underneath this. But I think we covered at least the major ones. So this should cover a bit about, what really is fintech and what are different types of fintech products and industries out there. Okay, so moving on. Future of fintech. So you may ask, why even care about fintech products? What is the future of this? What's in it for me as a product manager? I'll tell you what, fintech is, trending, dynamic, progressive industry. Each day we can read more and more articles about fintech firms that become unicorns or get another round of investment. I think users are ready more than ever for this change. Even before COVID, users were always on the go. They wanted to be more independent, and people will continue to eagerly opt for this concept of branchless banks and even direct investments. which means that, you will see much more of digital, online, and remote accessible solutions. So I would say that initially fintech was sort of like considered as a back-end technology for banks and other financial institutes. Basically, the key point here is fintech and banking are two separate, but kind of like dependent verticals. Fintech is about consumers and not just about banks. That is why I think, fintech is relatively very new, and it is sort of like up against one of the most traditional and powerful industries in the world, which I think is the mainstream banking. Okay, so if you just look at the market size here, the opportunity is huge. Today, in this Amazon era, only about 3% of the global commerce still happens online. So if you just think about the potential of the online economy, which can be driven by fintech, it is huge. Um, Nearly 2 billion people worldwide still don't own a bank account. Maybe these people and many more will never even require a bank account in future. Who knows, right? So, for my fellow product managers out there, I think it's really the market potential and opportunity that makes fintech such an attractive career opportunity. I also think it will help you become a true business-minded PM, since like each fintech product, like even like loan or payments or even money transfer, is really an entire business of its own. And I would say that launching a financial product and even in like a new market, it itself such a big victory. Okay, so that covers the future of fintech. I think that I think we have done some sort of like mood setting here. So why not just jump straight into some of the key learnings that I have gathered while managing different fintech products? Today, I do have 8 tips to share with you, all which will hopefully help you in crafting and shipping great and successful fintech products. I really hope so. So, first, know the rules. So now you might ask why. Why is so much focus given on rules and regulations in fintech? In fact, fintech is notorious for it. Well, I'll tell you what, when you're handling other people's money, unfortunately, you will be bound to a lot of rules and regulations that you will have to follow. Um, I think you might be curious to know why and what happens, sort of like if you don't follow these rules. Well, the implications are, quite high. For example, you can lose license to operate in certain countries, or government can ban you to operate or do some business, or you could be just subject to high fines and penalties. Um, that being said, I myself have spent enough time in my past opportunities, understanding and educating myself on these payment rules, trading rules, compliance, data privacy, and so on. I think at the end, it's really important to know what you can do and what you cannot, kind of like limitations. Um, so another key point here is to remember that every country has its own set of regulations. So, if you expand your product, let's say to new countries, I would say that it's very important to do enough due diligence and kind of like understand the legal norms of the countries, the new countries, I mean. And you know what? These rules change frequently, in fact. So make sure as a PM, you continuously review them and make this as an internal part of your maybe product or business strategy. Okay. So the next logical question here might be, so who regulates fintech and who sets these standards for everyone? Now there are multiple government financial bodies, and I've listed some of them out here, like, CFPB, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. This is the agency which ensures that fintechs and banks don't really deceive people. Then you have FINRA. FINRA, I think you might have heard of FINRA fined Robinhood last year for practicing payment for order flow. Another example I could think of is FTC. FTC is Federal Trade Commission. Again, it protects customers from sort of like deceptive practices. 2 years back, it ended up suing Lending Club because of hidden fees that they charge their customers. I would also say that consider reading about European Union GDPR rules, which will eventually tell you what you can do and what you cannot with customers' personal data in European Union. Okay, so see, I know that conforming to these rules and regulations is, really not as enticing as maybe building a cool feature for your product. But think of regulation as your competitive advantage, your value add, which can truly set you apart from many, many fintech products out there in the market. Uh, I also know this is a bit overwhelming, but listen, this is expected. As a PM, you won't always know all the rules. The good news is you would most likely find an established team of people, with this niche and expertise who will be able to analyze how different rules and regulations may impact your product. So you can rely on these financial experts at your firm for, accessing any information or even seeking help. Okay, that covers the first rule. Moving on. Or you know what? Actually, I do have a fun fact. It's not only fintech that must follow these policies. If you are a PM, even in healthcare, I think you will still have to comply with health insurance and patient data policies. Basically, any industry which involves impacting consumers directly will be subject to crazy rules and regulations. But remember, you probably are working for an impactful product and industry. That's why you have to abide by these rules. So, kind of understand what I'm getting here. Okay, so second is learn the industry jargon. Okay, I think you probably already got the point when I was talking about crazy terms like GDPR or FINRA or CFPB and so on. Fintech will be loaded with these terms that maybe you or other people and everyday people don't understand. Again, good news, guys. This is totally normal and is expected. As a PM, rely on all the information available, rely on the experts in your team, maybe your stakeholders, ask questions, look them up on Google. There is truly no shortcut to this. I went through the same exercise while working for many products at BlackRock and Uber. Okay, so while we're on the subject of crazy terms and jargon, I have two more for you. The first is actually the regulatory technology. So RegTech basically helps fintech companies maintain regulatory compliance. Relate this to maintaining compliance with know your customer or anti-money laundering laws. Supervisory tech is the next one. It is the technology, you again kind of self-explanatory here, but this is a technology, with the use of AI and ML to support supervision. Relate this to data collection, data analysis, spotting errors and patterns, any kind of automation, basically anything which will bring operational efficiency. Okay, so that was the second one. Now we have the third. It's not just about end users. So actually, before we jump in, I want you guys to know that usually fintech product doesn't stand alone. It is integrated with card processing or payments or analytics or even merchant platforms. Now, if I translate that to sets of users, you will see that there are many. For example, in payments, someone pays the money, another person charges it and receives it. In lending, there is someone who gets the loan and someone who issues the loan. So I think you probably got the idea that your fintech solution and your product would normally cater to many subsets of customers, and maybe even service providers, maybe even vendors. For instance, like a lot of fintech services give access of their products to merchants, to advisors, other than their end customers. I think that's why fintech products would normally be built for both segments, B2B and B2C. And this means that for a product manager, you will most likely have to map out customer journeys, wireframes, interfaces, features, and actions based on each subset of your user, since each user will perform actions peculiar to his or her role. Maybe you won't even get to implementing this in your MVP, but you know what? Always consider the possibility of supporting and implementing a solution for many users while you're building your product. Okay, so fourth, rethink the goals. This is one of my favorites. So most product managers out there only focus on functional outcomes. Functional outcomes are the ones that can be measured, like your key success metrics. In fintech, I do think that it's really important to measure impact of users' emotional and cognitive needs as well. I am really inspired by this framework called hierarchy of user friction, again linked here. I find it very useful while evaluating features and measuring success of my product. Um, so I'm using this example from the blog here itself. Basically, I will ask myself this question on, how will this feature serve the consumer's emotional, cognitive, and functional needs? Will this feature make my user feel better about their financial health? Will it give them more understanding about their financial health? Or will it give them something maybe more substantial, like more money or more credit? So I kind of like use this model to define what pain point of my user I'm solving for. And then, you can solve for maybe all three or maybe one or two. It really depends. So the next one here is ignore industry traditions. So for most user products, again, PMs strive for high engagement rates, frequent visitors. For fintech, not always the case. For example, I'm thinking about, investment products here, like your retirement plan. It is preferred that, a user does not visit their account regularly. I mean, their retirement account regularly, because that means, the user is probably not happy with their decisions. In fact, the number of times the user has logged in or viewed their account or portfolio correlates to, a high user churn rate. Another example here is of mobile first strategy. So according to a research conducted, portfolio managers and many other investors are not as productive on mobile as they are on desktop. The third one I have for you is about payment experience. So no payment experience is really the best experience. You know what, like, who likes to repeatedly enter their credit card number when buying something online on Amazon? Or who wants to look in for their wallet, in that bottomless big bag while you're standing at the counter in the morning rush for just a coffee? Uh, I think we all save our payment profiles on websites or use one-click buy now option. So I think you get the point of, why the traditional goals might not always work for your fintech product goals. Okay, moving on. The fifth is details matter a lot. So, I mean, again, going back to my point of like, handling other people's money here, in fintech, details matter, stakes are high, every decision matters. Loan and transaction value can be large. And remember, people really, really care about their money. Needless to say here, oversight is damaging. And Even one mistake can significantly cost more in fintech than any other industry. So, as a result, even a small error, a small decision can have huge implications. So, I'll give you an example. Like, a simple thing like time zone can make a world of a difference when it comes to charging the right interest rate or the right amount. Um, so I guess with the stakes so high, it really pays to think through the details, get things right the first time. Um, Also, fintech product managers will spend more time in the product development lifecycle compared to their peers. This is normal because normally as a PM, you will do a thorough risk assessment for each of your feature, and this assessment will really help you to understand any concerns or risks, or on how to mitigate these risks, worst outcomes, and it will help you just prepare. But remember, at the end, high risks always equals to more rewards. Sixth, know your ecosystem. So normally, a product manager usually position themselves between engineering, design, analytics, maybe data scientist. Um, a product manager in fintech might also be working with marketing, risk, again, analytics, legal, operations, both financial and business, sales team, policies team, and so on. You will have a lot of stakeholders, and many stakeholders will have no or zero technology background here. I think again here, PM's ability to communicate, to organize, to persuade, to appease all these different teams is really needed to, build that successful unified product. Um, on many occasions, I also found it very useful to even do user interviews with different key stakeholders to sort of like probe them and to really understand what they are looking for in terms of the end goal. So then actually another thing I have here in this slide is the ability to hear no. As decisions in fintech are often driven by external entities like regulators or even your stakeholders. So remember, it is kind of like important to keep that broad mind. Okay, so now we have the second last one, security. I cannot emphasize enough how important security is for fintech products. We all have heard of multiple data breaches, which damage not only companies' reputation, but also consumers' trust. Um, we all still remember that famous or infamous Equifax data breach from 2017, which exposed personal information of more than 150 million people. And now, guys, security is really an important feature in fintech. And as a PM, please invest, your time and resources into. Negligence here is bad. In fact, most of the products will never recover from such data breaches. Um, I have listed here a few ideas like use of tunneling protocols or AI for fraud protection or encryption or even blockchain. I mean, just try to go through them, at least the ones which make sense for your product. We are on the last one, building trust with customers. Now, building trust is really important for any business, truly. Convincing new users to trust your product, especially when their money is involved, is huge and is difficult. The good thing is that millennials are less trusting of traditional banks. In fact, just 8% of the millennials trust their banks, according to the study done by Facebook. This doesn't mean that they will just trust any financial product out there in the market. In fact, most of your audience is digitally savvy, social media literate. Product managers could use this to their advantage in deploying marketing and informational content in partnership with their marketing experts. So maybe work out with your marketing and campaign managers for successful fintech product marketing. And to quote you guys an example here, I can think of Robinhood again, like hugely popular among millennials. The company realized that in order to attract its young, digitally savvy business professionals, it needed to find a way to engage with them, online while giving them some free content on how to invest. This started Robinhood Snacks, which is huge popular, and it kind of like offers periodic newsletters and podcasts. Um, Another example is Mint Life by Mint, again a personal finance resource blog. So I think this covers the last one. Well, let's summarize. We went through 8 rules. First, know the rules. Second, learn the industry jargon. Third, it's not just about end users. Fourth, rethink the goals. Fifth, details matter a lot. Sixth, know your ecosystem. Seventh, security is key. And last, build trust with customers. So I think that's pretty much covers, some of the key points and takeaways, which I thought were useful for me to build successful fintech products. At the end, I really want to say that it's truly satisfying to, work for such impactful products in fintech and help people in some way to build their financial health and, so that they can really feel so much more safe and secure about their financial future. I also hope that it really helped you in some way or another, even if it is in some informational way. Guys, do share if this session helped you in your product areas, or if you have your own ideas or tips, or even if you just want to have a quick dialogue. I can be contacted on my LinkedIn. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a wrap. Thank you all so much and stay safe.